This is The Heart of the Story with Gary Metivier. Positive, inspiring stories of everyday people doing cool stuff, following their dreams, passions, using their talents to help others. People like Rusty Boroff, who knows what it's like to be homeless and hungry, using his nonprofit now to help fill the gap so that families can get emergency food.
In the nonprofit world, this should be the time where you're receiving less donations. People are scared about the economy, people are scared about their own households. But what we found out is, out of my 10 years of nonprofit, this has been the number one giving time where people are calling and saying, hey, we have stuff, extra in our house, or we're going to go shopping for our family. What can we get for you guys? Or here's a check. And so I think that's just the American spirit.
The American spirit, alive and well in so many of our communities right now. Rusty takes us to the heart of his story. Special Episode 4, Food for Thought, doing a 180 to feed families. So let's make something clear right off the top. Rusty Boroff has had some major setbacks in his life. He formed a nonprofit that is providing jobs to recovering addicts, homes to those who otherwise would be on the streets, and now food for families near and far. But he is clear he does not want to create dependency. He just wants to fill a void to help people in the short term. For some, a simple peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a package of diapers can go a very long way. I walk up to the old former church, which has been standing for decades in a neighborhood that shows the scars and the wear and tear of a community of hardworking people doing their best to survive. A small 180 sign hangs off to the side. I ring the bell. The huge wooden door on the creaky metal hinges opens, and I walk inside. The pews are gone, the altar too. Stained glass windows and high vaulted ceilings remain, up where the choir once sang, the sounds reverberating to the once packed congregation, here for their weekly inspirational message of hope, love, and faith. That message is still here, only now the pews have been replaced by long folding tables, lined up end to end, probably about 20 to 30 in 2 rows. On top of them are boxes. They are being carefully filled by a couple of volunteers.
Got cereal and ravioli, vegetables and fruit in a can. We've got some snacks for everybody, and I think everybody got peanut butter and jelly.
It's kind of like a nice variety pack with an assortment of things, like a Christmas box full of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yep, it's a nice variety. That's usually how it goes with these food pantries. It's usually different every time. You never know what to expect.
They have to limit the volunteers to 10 to prevent the spread of the virus. Lots of work for so few hands. So how many boxes do you guys think you've done so far?
We are doing about 125 each week. So these are getting ready to go out tomorrow. And then next week we'll do it again for the next probably 5 or 6 weeks.
And the guy behind all of this, on top of juggling an organization that is already helping hundreds in his 180 family.
Yeah, so right now what we're doing is we're packing boxes for, this is going to be for a little over 125 families. These are families that we previously have been working with, so we already have a relationship with them. So what we do is we actually have in-school food pantries. Well, since school closed, those families no longer can access that food pantry. And to do, our part in the community of curbing the, level of exposure of coronavirus, our plan is to actually deliver these boxes to the families. So there's lots of reasons it makes sense. When you look at some of the issues in our community, transportation is a big one. So it's very awesome that Davenport Schools is providing meals at the schools where families can come access those, but there's many reasons why families can't. Lack of transportation is one of them. The other one is the kid has to be present in order to get that food. Well, if some of these households are, we have a 8-10 people living in a household, so if it's one mom and 6 or 7 kids, or even 3 or 4 kids, packing up all the kids into a car can be difficult in and of itself. Or, like I said, if there's transportation issues, many of the families we work with don't even have cars. So what we do is we will actually just be dropping these boxes off their doorsteps. What it does limits person-to-person contact. It gives no reason for the family to leave the house if they don't need to.
So right now, this converted church is turned into a food pantry, if you will. Boxes everywhere being filled up to be distributed.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, the way it looks changes every day. So Monday we started, the scene Monday was there were tables and no food. And then today we bring in all the food and we put it along the wall here and we sort it into piles. And then yesterday afternoon people go around and load up a box, and there's signs that say, vegetables 2 cans, canned meat 2 cans, and you load up a box and then we sort them by school. And then we have information that the families have freely given us to tell us how many people are in the household and if there's special needs that they need. For example, one of the big things is diapers. A lot of these have infant kids, and so one of the requests were diapers. Even small stuff like dog food, or the way that we treat poverty in this moment is a little different than we usually do. This is an emergency situation, so you do whatever it takes.
Are you finding you're getting contacted by people that are like giving diapers and dog food that otherwise may not have donated things before?
Yeah, one of the amazing things, in the nonprofit world, this should be the time where you're receiving less donations. People are scared about the economy, people are scared about their own households. But what we found out is, out of my 10 years of nonprofit, this has been the number one giving time, where people are calling and saying, hey, we have stuff, extra in our house, or we're going to go shopping for our family. What can we get for you guys? Or here's a check. And so I think that's just the American spirit, in the greatest times of needs, whether it be 9/11 or whether it be, March 2020 with the coronavirus. I think the great thing about the American spirit is when times are the toughest, they rally together, and that's what we're seeing.
That's really cool to see, because, in times of crisis, a lot of people think, protect myself, protect what I have. Some of the people hoarding for themselves. And now you're seeing people open up and saying, what can I do to help somebody else?
Yeah. It has been super awesome to watch, and probably not a lot of people get to see it, but I get a front row seat, having a charity like this, and just seeing the outpouring of people that, just to be honest, I've worked on for years trying to get them to donate, and then here they are. They give me a call out of the blue, and it's like, hey, I'm ready, So it is pretty fascinating to watch.
If you can, share a couple of the personal stories that you're hearing of people out there that are finding themselves totally unaware, unprepared, and now you're out of a job and you have kids to feed.
Yeah. So there's probably 2 that come to mind automatically. One was an elderly person that couldn't leave their house, and she is a African American former military service person who's a vet. And she gave us a call and said, hey, I've been trying to call all these other pantries, all these other places, and they're closed, which understandably so. And she's like, I desperately need food, and I can't leave my house because of my health conditions and my age. And that day we packed up a box and took it over to her. The other one is a family of 8, and they're expecting another child here the next couple weeks. And the dad just found out that he got laid off on Friday. And so, that's a family, a hardworking family, with a lot of mouths to feed. But hardworking, dad has a job, and because of this situation, he finds himself without a job. And now just a lack of unemployment insurance, lack of a paycheck, really has put the family in a tough situation.
I look around, I see all this work laid out. Mm-hmm. I see very few people, a lot of you doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
A few of you doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and that's, there's so many volunteers that we have had sign up. So tomorrow, I'll explain what tomorrow looks like, but we are following CDC guidelines, so we're keeping it under 10 people, trying to keep it consistent with the same people to limit exposure to the community center. We have taken massive steps to make sure that this is a safe place, so all these volunteers are we check their temperature, names, dates, find out if they've traveled outside the country in the last 30 days. And tomorrow, we will have groups of volunteers of 2 that will come in. There's a medical liaison at the front door, take their temperature, ask questions. They'll come in, they'll pick up their boxes, and then go deliver it to those families. And so tomorrow we'll be utilizing about 30 different volunteers and just a couple of our staff. But we're going to be doing it in shifts and cleaning. Every time one of these boxes leaves, we clean the table and get it ready for the next group of volunteers.
And this isn't like preparing for a Thanksgiving dinner deal for families. This could be ongoing for a while. You're sort of setting something in motion that's going to be hard to say, okay, we're stopping now.
Yeah, so also what these families are getting is basically a note that says, we have committed to do this for 6 weeks. For 6 weeks, every Wednesday you will get a box of food. Beyond that, we are not committing because, one of our principles here is that we don't want to grow people dependent on social services. And so, but we also understand, like I said, emergency situations, you have to respond quick, and it's expensive, and you do whatever it takes. But our goal is in 6 weeks to kind of wean this out. And what it does, it gives other providers in the government time to catch up when it comes to, whether it be SNAP benefits, which is food card benefits, those things. Right now, unemployment insurance, so really what we're doing is we're closing the gap and committing to that gap for 6 weeks until all those other services catch up, which they aren't caught up right now. So,
and you yourself, you're juggling. You have several people here that you have working in a variety of ways to try to make a living, to try to reestablish themselves in their lives under your project, which seems to be growing every day.
Yeah.
Do you just consider this just another thing you have to do, another part of it?
Yeah, we looked at it when we knew this was coming. We've actually been working on this for about 60 days, knowing that this day would come here. So we were prepared to act quick. One of the things is there is a lot to juggle. This is what we consider the prevent side of stuff. On the develop all our residential housing, we have 75 people across the board that are living in one of our properties, and so we have to take safety measures for them too and make sure all their needs are met. And by state is difficult, with a resident who has family on the Illinois side. Well, right now that resident can't go visit his family, but someone in Iowa can, and so there's just a lot to juggle. But especially, about half of our staff is working at home or because they have kids or, quarantined. And so, we're keeping them at home. So we're shorthanded anyway. But, it really, when you're doing something that you believe in, it makes it a lot easier.
And at the end of the day, when you see a child maybe digging through these boxes that they get for their family and the smiles on their face that they have something to eat tonight, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think it's reassuring to me that we are doing the right thing. I wouldn't lie to you if I said, questions and it go through our head of, should we be open? Should we keep serving? But, the fact is, if we aren't, there's a lot of kids that would not be getting that food. And so we know that the stress, the anxiety that those families would be going through if we didn't exist and if we weren't open. So I think when I see those smiles and even the excitement and the gratitude from some of these people when they know they're getting a box, they haven't even received it yet, but when we hear that gratitude, what it does is it just reassures us that we're making the right choice.
How can people help if they're sitting here listening to this now, whether it be now or a week or two from now? How can people help?
Yeah, 2 ways. One, they can just bring down food, whether it be canned goods, hygiene items, any of that type of stuff. They can just bring it down to our location at 601 Marquette Street in Davenport, usually between the hours about 7 a.m., 4 p.m. They can also just give us a call if it's large items or a lot of it that they would like us to come pick up. We've had some the other food pantries that have closed that have done that. So if you have a stockpile and we need to come pick it up, we can do that as well. Or you can just go to our website, can always make a donation or give us a call. But all our contact information's out there on the website.
And for someone living outside this area, maybe someone like you, inspired to hear this and say, hey, I'm going to do something too. Are you available, or is there information available about how they can start something like this in their community?
Yeah, that's one of my passions is kind of our consulting wing, and I was actually doing that a little bit this morning on a couple of communities that are responding to of what they can do, and so I think we're always a resource when people have questions, and there's a lot of steps that you have to do to ensure that your volunteers are safe and ensure that the families that you're serving are safe too, while following all the guidelines that are out there set forth by the different governors and federal government, and that's all important, and you have to do it, and you need to do it. And so I like to think that we have a system that is very smooth here, and also by making sure safety is the first priority, and love to share that stuff.
And as we end here, we do look at the silver lining. We see people like this coming together to help other people. That makes us feel good. When disasters happen, people step forward. When someone's hungry, someone's there to give them a meal or a diaper that most people take for granted.
Yeah.
How refreshing is that for you to see the American spirit alive? I know it's alive in you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't see it as much in others, and it's
Yeah.
nice to see.
Well, I think it's inspiring and it's motivating. The fact is that this is a weary business, and lots of hours, and as many people are, at home with their families, and rightfully so, some of our staff, we don't have that opportunity, and when I go home at night, constantly thinking about what we got to do the next day, and answering phone calls and text messages and getting things organized, and so it is a weary business. But when you see other people's acts of kindness and people bringing in food and getting their kids involved and doing all this different stuff, that's the stuff that makes us keep going, And so we need that, So when you're bringing over food or writing a check or something like that, it's not just for the families. It's also inspiring us to keep doing what we're doing.
The American spirit, alive and well in this old converted church and in small shops, garages, and homes all across this nation. The silver lining, if you will, the positive being done. Who knows, maybe amidst all this loss and sadness will come a renewed hope, more humanity, more selfless acts of kindness. That is the American spirit we all want to see and hear more about in the days now and the days still yet to come. If you like this story, please give it a 5-star review, subscribe, share it with a friend to help us grow. More stories are posted this week, including what you can do to lift yourself up while in isolation, and how others are using sewing skills to make masks for healthcare workers, and tons of inspiring stories that have nothing to do with what is going on right now. Join us on Facebook at Metivier Media and on our YouTube channel. Let us know what is happening in your life. This is The Heart of the Story with Gary Metivier.